Welcome back to Huzaifa TV Official, your home for clear explanations, smart learning, and powerful knowledge.
In today's video, we're diving deep into one of the most essential foundations of programming, PHP Operators. Whether you're a beginner just starting your coding journey or an aspiring developer sharpening your skills, understanding operators is absolutely crucial. They decide how your code behaves, how your expressions run, and how your final results are calculated. So sit back, stay focused, and get ready to level up your PHP knowledge, because by the end of this video, operators will no longer be confusing. They'll be your tools for writing clean, professional, and efficient code.
In this video, we're going to take a deeper look at one of the most fundamental concepts in PHP programming: assignment operators. These operators form the backbone of almost every calculation, every update, and every value manipulation inside a PHP program. Even though they may look simple, understanding how they work and how to use them efficiently can dramatically improve the clarity and performance of your code. Let's start with the basics. In the example shown on the screen, we begin by creating two variables, a and b. We assign the value 30 to a and 21 to b. This is the most common form of assignment. The equal sign, also known as the simple assignment operator, takes the value on the right and stores it inside the variable on the left. It's a straightforward way to give variables their initial values. Now that we have our two numbers, we use them to perform a calculation. The line C array plus B tells PHP to add the values of A and B together. Since that A contains 30 and B contains 20, the sum is 50. PHP evaluates the expression on the right-hand side, then stores the final result into the variable C. In other words, CC now holds the value 50. Immediately after that, the script prints this value to the screen, allowing us to see the output of the addition operation. So far, this is the basic form of assignment. But PHP provides us with a more powerful set of tools known as combined assignment operators. These operators allow us to update a variable using its current value without having to rewrite the entire expression. One of the most commonly used is the add and assignment operator, written as +soko. Let's examine the line CB +soko A. This expression might look unusual at first, but it's actually just a shorthand version of C plus dere. PHP takes the existing value of C, which is currently 50, adds the value of AA, which is 30, and then replaces the old value of CC with the new total, 80. This operator is incredibly helpful because it allows your code to stay clean, concise, and easy to understand. Instead of writing longer and repetitive statements, you simply apply an operator that updates the variable directly. Combined assignment operators don't stop at addition. PHP also supports subtraction, multiplication, division, and even modulus assignment. For example, mychantek, base, and %obigs all follow the same pattern. They perform an operation using the current value of the variable, then store the result back into that variable. These tools become especially useful when building counters, loops, accumulators, or any logic where values change incrementally. By mastering assignment operators, you gain the ability to write PHP programs that are cleaner, more efficient, and easier to maintain. They might seem like small syntax improvements, but they make a huge difference when working on real-world projects or long pieces of code. So the next time you find yourself updating a variable based on its previous value, remember that PHP's assignment operators are there to help simplify your work. Now that we've explored how the add and assignment operator works, let's continue with the rest of the assignment operators demonstrated in the code. These operators follow the same principle. They take the current value of a variable, apply a mathematical operation to it, and then store the updated value back into the same variable. This helps reduce repetition and keeps your code short and readable. The first operator we encounter next is the subtract and assignment operator, written as atonser. In the example, we have CZ molibure. At this point in the program, the value of CC is $80 because of the previous operations. When PHP processes this line, it takes the value of CC, subtracts the value of AA, which is 30, and stores the new result. So 80 minus 30 gives us 50, and that is now the updated value of C. The script then prints this result, showing how subtraction assignment works in real time. Moving forward, we reach the multiply and assignment operator, represented by mainsame. In the code, you'll see the statement C say. At this moment, the value of CZ is $50. PHP multiplies 50 by the value of DAO, which is 30, giving us a new result of 1500. This value replaces the previous value inside C. Again, this operator saves you from having to write out a longer expression like C, P, C, A. It keeps the code efficient and easy to follow. Next, the program demonstrates the division and assignment operator, shown as cals. The line C lot A divides the current value of C, which is now 1500, by the value of A, which is 30. When PHP performs this operation, it calculates 1500 divided by 30, producing 50. That becomes the new value stored in C. This type of operator is often used when you need to scale down values or calculate proportions in PHP programs. Finally, we reach the modulus and assignment operator, written as %. This operator performs a modulus operation, which simply means it calculates the remainder when one number is divided by another. In the program, the expression C %A is executed. In this point, C holds the value 50. PHP computes 50 modulo 30, which results in 20, because when 50 is divided by 30, the remainder left over is 20. This remainder becomes the new value stored in C. Modulus operations are especially useful when working with cycles, patterns, or determining even and odd values. All of these assignment operators, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus, allow you to update variables in a clean and efficient way. Instead of repeating long expressions, you can use these shorthand operators to make your PHP code more organized and easier to read. They are essential tools for any PHP programmer, helping you write high-quality code that performs calculations smoothly and logically. Now that we've walked through each assignment operator used in code snippet 14, let's take a moment to look at the actual output produced by the program and understand why those specific results appear on the screen. This will help reinforce how each operator modifies the value stored in the variable CC step by step. When the program runs, the first result we see is the addition operation result, which displays 50. This comes from the very first calculation, where C was A plus R the B by on 30 plus 20. This gives us the starting point for all the operations that follow. Next, the program prints the add and assignment operation result, which shows 80. This happens because the operator plus takes the current value of C, which is 50, and adds the value of A, which is 30. When expanded, it looks like C veror C plus $. So 50 plus 30 becomes 80, and that updated value is stored back into C. After that, we have the subtract and assignment operation result, displaying 50. Here, the operator subtracts the value of A from the current value of C. Since C is now 80, subtracting 30 gives us 50. This is why the output shows 50 again. The shorthand operator simply makes the code cleaner while performing the same mathematical operation. Next in the output is the multiply and assignment operation result, which shows 1500. At this point, CC is equal to 50. The operator multiplies that value by 30, resulting in 1500. This new number becomes the updated value of C, demonstrating how multiplication assignment works in PHP. Following that, we see the division and assignment operation result, which displays 1.6667, or, depending on the system, sometimes a rounded value. This happens because the operator divides the current value of C, $1,500, by 30. The result of that division is 50, but depending on the exact code provided in the snippet, the printed output may reflect floating point precision. In many PHP environments, 1500 divided by 30 evaluates cleanly to 50. However, if different values or formatting are used, PHP may display the full floating point result. Finally, the output shows the modulus and assignment operation result, which is 1. The modulus operator % yours calculates the remainder when the current value of C is divided by chi-A. When the two numbers do not divide evenly, PHP returns whichever number is left over after division. In this case, the remainder becomes the new value stored in CDAW altogether. The output of code snippet 14 gives us a clear, step-by-step look at how each assignment operator affects the value inside a variable. By watching the value of C change with every operation, you can see exactly how PHP processes arithmetic and assignment in a structured, logical order. Understanding this flow is essential when building programs that rely on repeated calculations, counters, loops, or real-time updates to stored values. Now that we've explored assignment operators and examined how each one manipulates values step by step, let's move forward to another important concept in PHP: the conditional operator. This operator plays a major role in decision-making inside a program. It allows your code to choose between two possible actions, depending on whether a specific condition evaluates to true or false. The conditional operator in PHP is represented by the symbols, and it is often referred to as the ternary operator because it works with three parts: a condition, a statement to execute if the condition is true, and a statement to execute if the condition is false. This operator allows you to perform quick logical checks without writing a full if-else structure, making your code shorter, cleaner, and easier to read. When PHP encounters the conditional operator, it starts by evaluating the expression or condition placed before the question mark. If that expression is true, PHP executes the statement immediately after the question mark. If the expression turns out to be false, PHP skips the first action and instead executes the statement located after the colon. In simple terms, the conditional operator acts like a compact version of "if this is true, do this. Otherwise, do that." This operator is extremely useful in situations where you want to make quick decisions inside your code, especially when displaying output, assigning values, or processing small logical conditions. Instead of writing multiple lines of if-else statements, the conditional operator helps compress the logic into a single, readable line. Because of this, it is commonly used when we want to test simple logical expressions or provide fallback values. In the next part, Code Snippet 15 will show a practical PHP program that demonstrates exactly how this operator works. By examining the snippet, you'll see how the ternary operator evaluates a condition, chooses one of the two possible outcomes, and displays the result instantly. Understanding this operator is essential because it gives you a powerful and efficient way to perform decision-making within your PHP programs. Now let's take a look at Code Snippet 15, which demonstrates exactly how the conditional or ternary operator works in PHP. In this snippet, two variables are created at the beginning. A is assigned the value 10, and B is assigned the value 20. These two numbers will be compared using a simple condition, so we can see how the ternary operator chooses between two possible outcomes. The heart of this code lies in the line result, dry, A, B, M1. This statement may look compact, but it performs a complete if-else decision in just one line. Here's how it works. PHP first evaluates the condition inside the parentheses, A.B. It checks whether the value of A is greater than the value of B. In this case, 10 is not greater than 20, so the condition is false. Since the condition is false, PHP skips the value after the question mark, which is AA, and instead selects the value after the colon, which is bidon. This means the value assigned to result will be the value of B, which is 20. If the condition had been true, meaning if A were greater than B, then the value of A would have been assigned instead. This simple structure allows us to make quick decisions while keeping the code extremely clean and easy to follow. The ternary operator is especially useful when you want to choose between two values based on a condition, such as selecting a minimum or maximum number, assigning default values, displaying different messages, or simplifying short if-else logic. Code Snippet 15 is a clear example of how the operator works behind the scenes and how PHP decides which value to store in the variable result. Now that we've understood how the conditional operator works in the first part of the program, Let's continue with the remaining lines of code snippet 15 and examine the final output. After evaluating the first condition, the script prints the result using the statement echo. Test 1, value of result is result. Since the earlier condition, A, B, was false, the value stored in result was 20, which is why the first output line displays test 1. Value of result is 20. Immediately after this, the program performs a second conditional test, this time using a different comparison. The new line of code is result create measure B, A deep. Here PHP checks whether A is less than B. With the values we have, 10 and 20, this condition is true. Because the condition evaluates to true, PHP selects the value before the colon, which is A, and assigns that value to the variable result. So now, the value of result becomes 10. The script then prints the result of this second evaluation using the line echo test 2, value of result is result. Since the condition was true this time, and A was chosen, the output becomes test 2. Value of result is 10. With these two simple tests, the program clearly demonstrates how the conditional operator can choose between different values depending on whether a condition is true or false. The first test shows the false condition path, selecting B DAOS, while the second test shows the true condition path, selecting A. This makes code snippet 15 an excellent example of how you can use the ternary operator to simplify decision-making in PHP without writing full if-else statements. As your programs grow larger, mastering compact tools like this helps make your code cleaner, more efficient, and easier to maintain. To wrap up our discussion of code snippet 15, let's take a closer look at how the conditional operator behaves in both test cases shown in the program. Conditional operators, sometimes also referred to as comparison operators, when evaluating relationships between values, allow the program to decide which statement to execute based entirely on whether a given condition is true or false. If the condition evaluates to true, PHP selects the first expression after the question mark. But if the condition evaluates to false, PHP jumps to the expression after the colon and uses that instead. In the first example, labeled test 1, the code is checking whether A is greater than B. With the values provided, A being 10 and B being 20, this condition clearly evaluates to false. Because the condition is false, PHP does not choose the value of A. Instead, it selects the value of B, which results in 20 being displayed for test 1. This demonstrates how the conditional operator falls back to the else expression when the condition does not hold true. In the second example, labeled test 2, the comparison is reversed. This time, the code checks whether A is smaller than B. Since 10 is indeed less than 20, the condition evaluates to true. Because the condition is true, PHP selects the value before the colon, which is the value of LA, and assigns it to the result. This is why test 2 displays 10, the condition passed. So the true portion of the ternary operator was executed. These two tests highlight how the conditional operator can be used to quickly evaluate simple decisions and choose the appropriate value without writing long if-else statements. With just one line of code, PHP can determine which value makes sense based on the condition being tested. This makes your program more efficient, more readable, and easier to maintain, especially when dealing with repeated or straightforward comparisons. By understanding how both the true and false paths work, you now have a clear grasp of how flexible and practical the conditional operator is in PHP. Now that we've explored different types of operators individually, arithmetic operators, assignment operators, and even the conditional operator, let's take a step back and look at how all of these operators can be grouped into broader categories. In PHP, operators are often classified based on the number of operands they act upon. An operand is simply the value or variable that the operator works with. Understanding these categories helps you recognize patterns in how operators behave, and makes it easier to understand new operators that you encounter later. The first category is unary prefix operators. The term unary means these operators work with only one operand. They appear before the operand and perform an operation on that single value. Examples you may already be familiar with include increment and decrement. Operators like ++RLX or IREX, these operators change the value of a variable directly and are commonly used in loops or situations where you need to update a value in place. The second major category is binary operators and logical operations. These operators work with two operands, performing some form of arithmetic or logical comparison between them. Everything you've seen so far, from addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division to relational checks like greater than, less than, and equality, falls into this category. Binary operators are the backbone of most calculations and comparisons in PHP. Logical operators, such as AND, MAKIMWANDAN, and E, also belong here because they evaluate conditions involving two values or expressions. By grouping operators into these categories, it becomes much easier to understand how they function and how they should be used inside a program. Unary operators act on one value, while binary and logical operators work between two values to produce a meaningful result. As we continue exploring more concepts in PHP, keeping these categories in mind will help you recognize the structure and purpose of new operators more quickly. Continuing with Table 4.5, let's explore the remaining operator categories that help us understand how PHP groups and organizes different types of operations. We just looked at unary and binary operators, so now let's examine another important group, conditional or ternary operators. These operators are slightly different from the others because, instead of working with one or two operands, they work with three. That's why they're called ternary operators. As we saw in code snippet 15, the ternary operator evaluates a condition first, and then selects one of two possible expressions, depending on whether that condition is true or false. This makes it a compact, efficient replacement for simple if-else statements. The table also includes the category of assignment operators, which we explored earlier in detail. Assignment operators are responsible for assigning values to variables. While the simplest form is the single equal sign, PHP also offers shortcut versions like +ween, treen, sheens, and %weens, which combine arithmetic operations with assignment. These operators not only store values, but also update them in place, allowing your code to remain clean and concise. Together, these categories cover a wide range of functionality and give PHP the flexibility to perform everything from quick value updates to complex decision-making. Understanding these operator groups allows you to quickly identify what kind of operation is taking place in your code and how many operands are involved. As you continue learning PHP, this knowledge will make it much easier to read, analyze, and write efficient programs. Now that we have explored different categories of operators in PHP, the next important concept to understand is operator precedence. Operator precedence determines the order in which different operators are executed when they appear together in the same expression. This is crucial because the same set of numbers can produce completely different results depending on which operator is evaluated first. Some operators naturally take priority over others. A classic example is the multiplication operator, which has a higher precedence than the addition operator. This means that if you write an expression like 2 plus and 6 to 3, PHP will not evaluate the addition first. Instead, it will perform the multiplication before anything else. So PHP calculates 6 to 3 first, giving us 18, and then adds the 2, resulting in a final output of 20. Many new programmers expect PHP to calculate from left to right, but operator precedence ensures that some operations always happen first. However, there may be times when you want to change this natural priority. To do that, you can override precedence by using parentheses. Parentheses force PHP to evaluate the expression inside them before moving on to anything else. If we take the same example, 2 plus 6, 3, and rewrite it as 2 plus 6 per 3, then PHP will first evaluate 2 plus 6, which equals 8, and then multiply by 3. This gives a completely different result, 24. Parentheses are extremely useful for making your intentions clear in complex expressions and for controlling the exact order of execution. There are also cases where two operators share the same level of precedence. When this happens, PHP follows another rule known as associativity. Associativity determines whether the operations are evaluated from left to right or from right to left. For example, most arithmetic operators, such as addition and subtraction, are left associative, meaning PHP processes them from left to right. So in an expression like 1032, PHP evaluates it as 1032 and not the other way around. Understanding both precedence and associativity allows you to predict how PHP will evaluate expressions even before running the code. This knowledge helps prevent logical errors, ensures accurate results, and keeps your programs easy to read and maintain. Whenever you are unsure, use parentheses. They make the order of execution explicit and prevent misunderstandings in your code.